Hello and welcome to this edition of Ask the Gov. Let's begin. Our first question comes from Ramsey via Facebook. Ramsey asks, did the subject of global warming come up at the drought meeting? No, it didn't. There was a lot of discussion about this year and the fact that this is one of the hottest years and the driest years we've had in Iowa since 1936 or 1988. And we talked about what the state can do in response to that, how we can help farmers, and also we talked about some of the federal government's responsibilities as well, and things like haying and grazing and things like that. So it was a very practical discussion about what can be done, how we can help each other. I'm very proud that Iowans pitch in to help each other in times like this, and certainly it was a very positive, resilient spirit despite the fact that we're facing a very severe drought at this time. Our second question comes from Carol via email. Carol asks, how do you choose whom you will commute? Normally, we make decisions on commutations if we find an extraordinary situation where we think it would be a miscarriage of justice, and I personally interview the people to consider. Most recently, we had a situation where the United States Supreme Court invalidated the law that makes it possible to convict juveniles for first-degree murder and sentence them to life imprisonment without parole. This affects hundreds of people convicted of this most heinous crime all across the country, including 38 in the state of Iowa. If I had not taken action to commute them from a life without parole to a life with the possibility of parole after 60 years, we were going to see each of these individuals file for change in their sentencing, and then it would there would be a possibility that they could come up for parole, and the parole board would have to consider that every year. My concern is for the victims and their families, to put them through the trauma every year of seeing the perpetrator who was sentenced to a life without parole, now because of the Supreme Court decision being considered for parole on an annual basis, I thought would not be a good situation and would cause a great deal of anxiety and would also jeopardize the public safety of the people of the state of Iowa. And so I did a commutation in each of these, and it is a balancing justice. The law that we had in Iowa that was invalidated by the 5-4 vote of the Supreme Court would have said that they would have served a life sentence and never been eligible for parole. Under my commutation, they will still serve a life sentence, but they will become eligible to be considered after 60 years, which means that they will be at least in their 70s before they would be considered for parole. I think this is a fair and balanced way to protect public safety and to give assurance to the victims that these people are not going to be considered in the near future.